Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I made and posted the very first video for this playlist, right, which was introducing you guys to RAG and doing some simple experiments. Now if you remember clearly, in that video I told you that in order for you to run this code at all, you need to get an OpenAI key, OpenAI API key, right, and you need to execute this cell. That is the way OpenAI knows that this is the account trying to use their AI or use their API, and that is the way they know exactly who to charge. So yes, this is not free. Every single time you run this code or passing a question or a message to GPT-4, in this case here, you get charged basically. Now there's an alternative to that. You can do this entirely free, like entirely for free, right? And that is what I want to show you guys in this video. And before I do that, I also want to show you how to get your API key in the first place, right? Because some of you might have challenges with that. So it's quite straightforward. All you need to do is to go to platform.openai.com. If you don't have an account, you'll be requested to create an account, so just go ahead and create an account, right? Once you've logged in, you want to go to the left hand side, you want to click on settings, and you want to go to billing, and you want to add in your credit card. Once you add in your credit card, you can top up your credit balance for your OpenAI account, put in like $50, $10, right? If it's a new account, you actually get, I think, some free credits, right? Now once you've done that, you want to go to API keys, click on create new API key, give your API key a name, so you can call this LLM, click on create secret key, and after some seconds you're going to be requested to verify that you are a human. So just click on begin pause. So once this is done, your API key should be created successfully. You want to copy this immediately before you close this window. Copy, then click on done, right? Then now you have an API key. You can go back to your IDE here and put in that key here, right? Now once you are done using the key, or you do no longer need the key, right, you can just go back and then delete this key. So I'm going to delete my revoke key, and that's how you get your API key from OpenAI, and you can run your code successfully. But the problem is that you have to pay for this, right? It's not that expensive. It's about 0 point something dollars based on the number of token basically, right? So but if you don't want to go to the stress of creating an OpenAI account, you just want to test or run LLM on your system via langchain, there's an alternative, and the alternative is called Ollama actually. So you want to go to ollama.com basically, right, and /download. /download. Then you want to download Ollama. Now there's option for Windows, Linux, and Mac, and I think I'm using a Mac, so I'm just going to download the Mac. However, I already have this downloaded and installed. So basically you want to download this and install it. If you have any problem with installing Ollama on your system, you can check YouTube tutorials on how to install Ollama, but I believe this is quite straightforward, right? So you download Ollama and install. So the question is, what is Ollama? So Ollama is basically a program that is going to be running on the background of your system, right, that gives you access to open source LLMs. So GPT-4 is not an open source LLM, and that's why you have to pay for it, right? But with Ollama, you get access to open source LLM that literally runs on your system, and you don't even need internet access to use them because they run on your system basically. So if you go to models here, you're going to see the list of open source models that Ollama gives you access to, right? Now you can use any of this, right? Any of this. All you need to do is just to basically indicate this when you're using Ollama, right? So now let me show you how to use Ollama in langchain, and then run the same code we ran in the last code with Ollama models. We are going to use Llama 2 as the model, right? So yeah, so let's go back. So coming back here, we do no longer need this anymore because now we want to use Ollama, right? Once you have that, you want to import Ollama from langchain underscore community.llms, right? And then you want to create your model instance using Ollama. So unlike the last time where we used the chat open AI class, this time around we're using the Ollama class imported from langchain community. So it looks very similar to what we did the last time. Now this time around, you also want to specify the model. I'm specifying Llama 2. Now one thing you need to notice is that if you are running this code for the first time, you're going to get an error. Let me show you what the error looks like. So let's say I want to try, so there's a model called Star, if I am correct, is it Starlink? Sorry, not Starlink. Let's just confirm that. So there's a model called, okay, let's just use Gemma. Okay, let's try Gemma, right? This has about 600k pools, so let's use Gemma. So there's a model called Gemma we can use that is open source, so we can just say Gemma here. Now, mind you, you are running open source model, meaning that this model is going to be downloaded into your system, and your system is basically hosting this model. Now, so it means that if you're running this code for the first time, you would have to download that model. And how do you download the model? So let's just try and run this and see the error we get. So now I'm creating an instance called LLM2, right? I'm running this, and the same set of message we used the last time, right? You are a virtual assistant who as personality of a Nigerian pastor. I'm going to say Pastor Sam here, just to give this a name, right? I'm going to run this, and this time around, instead of using the LLM which we used right in the previous video here, we're going to use LLM2 instead. So LLM2, I'm going to run this, but I'm going to get error. And the error is going to say that Ollama can't blah 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 and blah, right? And that's because you've not downloaded the model, which is Gemma. So to download the model, you have to run this code here, right? So this is an exclamation mark followed by Ollama, then pull, then the name of the model you want to pull. So in this case, Gemma, right? So you're going to run this. So now sometimes this is going to take a while because these models can be very very heavy. So you can see that this is just 5 gigabytes. The model is 5 gigabytes. So I'm going to stop this because I do not want to download 5 gigabytes of data right now. I'm going to stop that. But basically you have to run this, wait for it to complete, then you can now run this code successfully. Now, however, I already have Llama 2 downloaded, right? So I'm just going to use that to save us some time. So I'm going to run this, and now I can run this and then run this. So now this will be able to process our message and give us a response. Now remember, this is running entirely offline because the model resides in your system, right? So it might take time depending on how powerful your system is. So I'm currently running this on a Mac M1, right? And it took about 19 seconds. So we do no longer we can clear these outputs here. Now we can print out what the response looks like. So when we print out the response, you can see it says, "Oh my dear brother in Christ, I am so glad you asked about the wonderful young man Daniel. Is a shining example of God's grace and mercy in our midst. Daniel is a humble servant of the Lord, always eager to help others, blah blah blah." Now you can already see one problem here, or one challenge rather. Now for some reason, Llama 2, which is the open source model we're using, is just assuming that Daniel is probably one of the church member, which is very wrong because there is no way in the prompt, there's no place in the prompt here that we said that Daniel is one of your church member. It just assumed that, right? And this is very very wrong, right? This could cause big issues, right? If you are doing, if you are doing a app that needs to work with some level of accuracy, right? Now remember when we ran this with GPT-4, it says something like, "Sorry, without further context, I cannot tell you who Daniel is." And that's what a proper LLM should give you. So you can already see the limitation of these LLMs, right? Open source LLM. However, it is free, so we can't complain, right? And sometimes you can just adjust your prompt to get better response. But the point here is that you have a free open source LLM to work with, right? Now, the last thing I want to show us before I round up this video is that remember that when we use GPT-4, right? Let's use GPT-4 again. I'm going to change this to LLM2, right? The response we got was not actually a string. It was something called an AI message, right? And it had an attribute called content. So if I run this, you can see that in the case of GPT-4, we get something that says AI message, right? And we got the response, right? Then once I said, oh, ask for res.content, I get the astral response, which is a string. But that was not the case for the Ollama model, right? I'm going to run that again. You will realize that the Ollama model, which is taking about, let's say, 19 seconds, returned a string out of the box. So you have to understand that difference. So when you're using the Ollama models, you get a string immediately, and there is no attribute called content. So if you run this, we're getting a string here, and if you run this, we're going to get an error that says no attribute called content. So very, very important that you take note of that, or else you keep having issues. So that's basically the major difference right now. You get a string out of Ollama, but for GPT-4 you get a AI message object which has a content attribute that gives you the actual string. So this is how you use a free open source model in langchain, right? And that is one of the major difference. So however, I'm going to stick to GPT-4 for the rest of the tutorials, but just in case you want to do something free, you can use Ollama and try any of the open source model Ollama provides. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.